Well, Philip Turle from our International Affairs Desk joins me now here on set. Philip, this proposal then, this plan, what form might it take?
Well, I think what we're seeing here, Stuart, is a gradual shift and slightly more optimism coming out of the region over the fact that we could be moving towards a ceasefire deal. That's according to Najib Mikati, in any case, the caretaker Prime Minister of Lebanon, who says it could be announced within days or even within hours. Well, we'll have to see whether that is the case. You have to bear in mind, though, that Najib Mikati doesn't really have much control or any over Hezbollah. So he might be Prime Minister of Lebanon, but Hezbollah is really its own boss. So what he says has to be taken, I think, with a certain degree of restraint over what actually might happen at the end of the day. What we do know is that this draft report, which we've also seen here at France 24, is quite explicit about what everyone is trying to work towards, and that is the implementation of UN Resolution 1701. There are three of the points to it here. The first one is that this ceasefire deal will last 60 days. That resolution will be implemented, and that Hezbollah will withdraw north of the Litani River. The Litani River is about 50 kilometers north of the Blue Line, which is the frontier between southern Lebanon and northern Israel. This resolution 1701 goes back to 2006. It has never been implemented. It was drawn up after the last Lebanese conflict, but due to the dragging of feet, the lack of desire to implement this resolution, it's never really got off the ground. So it's been put back on the table saying, OK, this is a way out of the current conflict. Push Hezbollah back. Stop all the clashes going on in southern Lebanon. Don't let any group have access to munitions or weapons. Send in UN peacekeepers, the FINUR peacekeepers in that region to keep the peace between the two sides. And little by little, then we can work out a ceasefire deal. OK, the immediate one is for this ceasefire deal to last 60 days, but with other negotiations to take place behind the scenes for that to be a long-term ceasefire deal. So that is the plan right now. There is activity taking place. The White House has got two senior officials who are traveling to Washington today. The CIA Director Bill Burns is going to go to Egypt. He's going to discuss that ceasefire deal or the proposal to install a ceasefire deal with the authorities there, who are behind the scenes trying to pull the strings to get this up and running. So there is movement. We'll just see where it goes.
New Hezbollah leader, as we saw in the report, Naim Qassem, saying he's open to the idea of a ceasefire within certain parameters. What does he mean by that?
Well, there again, this is actually quite interesting, Stuart, because we're seeing a sort of gradual shift in Hezbollah's position over the fact that Hezbollah started the shelling of northern Israel this time round because it wanted a ceasefire deal in the Gaza Strip. It said, we're not going to stop these shelling attacks until there is a ceasefire deal in the Gaza Strip. OK, out goes Hassan Nasrallah, assassinated by Israel. Since then, we've had the attacks against Hezbollah's communications through the blowing up of pagers and walkie-talkies. So Hezbollah is weakened. No mention in that speech by Naim Qassem of any link between a ceasefire deal in Gaza and an end to the shelling by Hezbollah in northern Israel. So that shows that Hezbollah is moving towards maybe a more open-minded position on all of this. I think one has to be cautious because obviously that speech that we saw was made not only for the international community, but also for Hezbollah supporters themselves. And they don't want to give too much of an indication that they're going to give in to demands by Israel or the United States, because that would immediately lead to a fall in support for Hezbollah in Lebanon. So there is some kind of reading between the lines, if you like, as to what Hezbollah is doing. But what Naim Qassem did say, which was actually quite remarkable, was, yes, that Hezbollah has been severely weakened by what Israel has been doing. No, there's no call for the moment for a ceasefire in Gaza to be linked with an end to the shelling attacks. But yes, Hezbollah is still a force to be reckoned with. Yes, Hezbollah is still rebuilding. And yes, Hezbollah hasn't received anything from Israel that they would agree to as far as a ceasefire deal is concerned right now in southern Lebanon.
Finally, Philip, what about progress for a ceasefire in Gaza? Any progress at all?
Well, there is progress there. The latest pledge is for a 4-week ceasefire in Gaza and the release of 10 hostages. Remember, there are over 100 hostages still being held. But this has already been kicked into the long grass, basically, by Israel, by two hardliners within the Israeli cabinet, the Israeli National Security Minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, and also the Finance Minister, Bezalel Smotrich, who both say no because any ceasefire deal with Hamas is going to be a present for them, and we don't want them to have that. But there is growing pressure, of course, from the international community, from the United States, from both Egypt and Qatar, where these negotiations are going on. One can only live in hope that something might come out of it all.
Philip, thanks very much, Philip, for Turle there from our International Affairs Desk.